Welcome to vlog number 10. We're in studio right now. Here are some little mandala rock paintings that I'm putting together for the show. And here are the other paintings that are in progress. Open Lotus is coming along, and Chaos Crush. It's coming along. It's a little, sometimes I have to always find the paintings. So this one's going its own way. This is Wishing Tree, also a piece that went through a ton of changes. And these are two little pendants. It's interesting when you're working with things that have so many layers, kind of deciding like what to bring out and what to sort of recede back into space. So this was a lot more complicated in earlier versions. I decided just to ground the painting and darken that area to allow this sort of more complex region to juxtapose. I see both as a sort of religious cross and tree in one. So I'm really happy with how this turned out too. And yeah, so the smaller paintings are taking longer, but we're getting through them, or I'm getting through them rather. So Afterglow, it was one of those things where, I was working on it, I had the idea of how I wanted to change it, and then I thought I lost it. It's the worst feeling when it's like almost done, you think you lose it, and then you find it again. So that was great. New CD player. Okay, here we go. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Full Moon Fever was my first CD that I ever got. My brother gave it to me, and so I'm playing it in honor of Tom Petty. And I'm wearing a shirt, this one, New York City Artists Coalition. They're working to fight against cabaret law, which bans dancing, so you should check it out. Okay, here we go. I'm in Gowanus and I'm heading to Brooklyn Cluster Gallery, and to see a show curated by Matthew Garrison called Fact or Fiction. Okay, tell me a little bit about Fact or Fiction.
Fact or Fiction was a show that, for me, was responding to our times. One of the things that surprised me was when people were looking or talking about facts as though they could be alternative, or people were proclaiming that this is fake news, that sort of thing. So I started to realize that people now are believing in or accepting what they believe rather than scientific study, that kind of thing. So that was the premise, sort of a response to our times.
When did you start working on this project?
It's been over a year in the making. Yeah. I proposed it probably over a year ago, and then it was researching the artists and studio visits. Well, this is Ashley Hope's work, and this is new work for her, so I'm really excited to have it in the show. And what she's done is she's taken these CCTV images,
right,
and they're the last images of a person before they disappeared.
Right.
So in this case, this figure was never heard of again. And so it becomes almost like a trace of the person.
Like a last ghost.
Yeah, exactly, like a ghost impression.
And then the sort of tender ornamentation.
Yeah, she explained the ornamentation to me as a kind of Byzantine source. And the idea behind that is that it's not figurative, that it's more pattern-based and geometric. But because it has sort of a spiritual grounding, it speaks to sort of two worlds simultaneously, which is something that seems to be happening in the work as well.
Wow. This pyro technique,
It's literally printed on wood. Even though it's very much rooted in painting, for me there's a kind of codification that's happening, although it's a very personal one. So, for example, the one on the right is a really nice connection to the show in that she takes the description of what you need, of the requirements for your passport photograph.
Right.
And then she breaks it down into these colors and these symbols, and then reassembles it into a visual explanation.
So she's changing the sign system, creating these icons, the sort of graphic color icons, and then making this mesh.
So she combines both worlds. This is Judith Page.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. And I just love, even though it's photographs, I love the physicality of it.
Right.
And the
skin of the paint.
Exactly, and also sort of the what is it? The tension between the thickness and physical pink over the blurred black and white image.
Right, and like what is more real in a way.
Yeah. And then this is Susan Cryo.
Right.
And her work is, and this is based on photos from the first Iraq War, when they essentially bombed oil fields to try to limit the flow of oil and the income.
Right. Yeah, I remember some of these works. And then these here?
This is Fabian.
Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And he's one who works with a mouse. He goes in and dissects images online by kind of zooming in to the point where where the image starts to dissolve.
Disintegrate.
Yeah. And I think across all of these, there's a connection between, I guess it would be the government, right, with the national seal in the red image next to the burning oil fields. And then true story being proclaimed, but also I think of it as having a question mark.
Absolutely.
So
And it's also kind of going in and out of focus.
Right.
In this piece?
Alex Hogan. And the way he approaches it is he takes these images and draws them with a pen on a tablet.
Oh, wow.
So they are completely handmade, but they're done digitally.
And they have a real handmade quality.
Right. And I love sort of bringing his humanity into some of these larger issues that are in the show. She took all these sort of investments on the left, and in, for example, 2007, they were rated as a good investment based on their CDO score. But 6 months later, they were all junk. So the transition from a blue positive rating to a red negative rating.
Interesting.
And then it also
super
takes...
formal, super objective, but also abstract visualizing.
Yeah, it has a strong sort of hard edge abstract foundation to the work. But then there's also a lot of
conceptual background.
conceptual and informational.
Right.